Namaskar. The deep state is in a bit of a fix. They don't know what to do. What is the Trump transition team doing? All this and more in today's Hangout. A small request to all of you to like this video. We have a small slide deck to actually walk you through what happens when a transition team puts in place, and then how things are expected to happen and how the Trump team is not playing according to script, and that is driving the deep state crazy. This is all I can say. I'll show you what is happening. First, let's go ahead and jump into the slide deck right away. What is the problem? What is the deep state used to? The deep state is used to getting information ahead of time so that they can fix people that are going to be in important positions. Now, what is happening is, I'll tell you in just a moment. Next one, please. See, what happens is, there is something called as General Services Administration, GSA. Now, GSA is a body in the government to which the transition team says, okay, we will, we are going to come in, we will need some access, and the GSA starts giving them, desks, buildings, and things like that for the transition team to start working. But the transition team has a very specific purpose. What it is to make sure that the 2 months go off smoothly, and also usher in the actual permanent team that will take effect on 20th of January when President Trump takes pledge. So we know some of them, but many of them, like for example, Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, they all have to go through Senate confirmation. We'll come up to that a little bit later, but the team will be in place. Below Kash Patel, there may be some team that he may want. He may already have that in place. So supposing the Trump team does not go through the General Services Administration, GSA, I'm going to say GSA from here on, then what happens is the GSA is in the dark. They don't know about, the senators can be again arm twisted or persuaded or did whatever to do something that they are not expected, because even though the Republicans have 52 or 53 seats now in the Senate, they are not 100% sure that all of them will go the way they want them to. Because remember, this Republican Party still, there are many old bankers who are there in the Senate who don't want to accept Trump's leadership. Like it or not, he is the face of the Republican Party, but they don't want to admit it. The Mitch McConnells of the world. Anyway, so that is one problem. So what has happened here is that usually the transition team will sign a memorandum of understanding with the GSA, and the GSA starts knowing who's coming in. The GSA has got a lot of career bureaucrats who could also be part of the deep state. So they know, oh, okay, this guy is going to be in this particular important position. So let's go get the dirt on him and then start screwing him around, saying that if you don't do this thing, well, we are going to expose this, because all that muck has to be, created and cleared now, so that the media is ready to start putting all the stuff out, and they can start embarrassing. You saw how much fur flew when Tulsi Gabbard was nominated, and now Kash Patel. These guys are in absolute shock. I'm seeing on social media, especially on Twitter, how many people are saying, oh, Kash Patel is a Hindu, Tulsi Gabbard is a Hindu, XYZ is a Hindu. This has become a complete Hindu administration. Look, it doesn't matter. These are the people who Trump has selected because he trusts in them and they have the capacity. But this is, the same team will not say that 90% of any presidential team must be all white Anglo-Saxons, mostly from the East Coast. What about that? So this is the thing. When it doesn't suit me, I will try to make a lot of noise. When it suits me, I'll just stay quiet. So the whole media, CNN and BBC, are in a whole lot of trouble in Israel. We'll talk about that in another hangout. But today, let's see what happened. So Trump bypassed this entire thing. And in fact, he's still raising money. Can you believe it? I still get emails from him saying we need funding. You know why? Because he is crowdsourcing the expenses that the transition team will incur. He's actually crowdsourcing it so that he doesn't have to depend on the government money and therefore the GSA, so that he can play his cards close to his chest. And interestingly, he also bypassed traditional ethics and security protocols, including memorandums of understanding with the Justice Department for FBI background checks and the Office of Government Ethics for resolving conflicts of interest. They rely on internally set ethics required agreements published on JSA website. So he is not using the machinery. And I'll tell you why this is something that Trump is treading very carefully on. One of the things that has been accused of FBI is that they strategically leak data. And if you remember, there was a guy called Comey who was FBI director who used to place selective leaks, and he actually fired him. Trump fired him. And go back to the early years of the Trump administration, you will see how much the GSA had mucked around with Trump's administration. At that time, he didn't know how the Washington DC works, and therefore he got caught. But this time he's being very, very careful. The Trump team has declined federal transition fund, citing reliance on existing security and information protection, raising concerns about transparency, potential corruption, and influence peddling. Influence peddling is what you and I talk on the street as blackmail, right? Federal agencies have prepared briefing materials and designated career staff to assist the transition. Agencies will verify security clearances and require compliance with government standards for information sharing. While some view the agreement as a step forward, Democratic senators like Elizabeth Warren have criticized it for gaps in ethics compliance. They will make noise because their power, their grip on the administration, not at the faces that you're saying, but at the how many times have I named people from the Department of State, because these are all rogue characters. So these are all now in bit of a darkness because they don't know come January 20 if they have a job or not. So transition teams typically will integrate into the agencies for information exchange, and this is something that's needed because they'll say, well, how will you else ensure continuity, right? You don't know what exactly is happening. In fact, if you come back at 9 o'clock with Sumit Peer, we are going to be talking about the geopolitics of the possibility that the United States may have opened another front in Syria to try and weaken the Russian government. So this is something that is brewing very, very quickly, and we'll come back to that at 9 p.m. with Sumit Peer. I just want to give you a heads up on that. So White House has stressed the necessity of a smooth transition to address domestic and global challenges. They really are frustrated. What do I do? The transition team doesn't come and talk to me about what I have done and what I intend to do. What do they know about what I intend to do, in which part of the world, what other mischief I want to create? Actually, there is stories now coming that they want to create trouble in another country called Georgia too, just to trouble Putin. Anyway, so with this move, Trump has shocked the deep state by implementing a private funded transition. No GSA involvement, no taxpayer money, no compromise. This MAGA administration, that is Make America Great Again, has delivered a seismic blow to DC because they did not expect this from Trump. He is completely sidelining the deep state machinery by entirely refusing the taxpayer-funded GSA services. This isn't merely a transfer of power, it's a bold revolution in governance. So if there are no taxpayer money, then there is no oversight, and most importantly, there are no leaks. In other words, the media, the press, even bloggers, except for those who are close to Trump, who may have some inside access, nobody knows what is going on. Nobody knows at the second, third, fourth level who is going to be doing what. And therefore, because they don't know, then they will not have time to try and muscle those people, to arm twist them into doing their bidding. The deep state is in a huge fix, guys, huge fix. What do you see instead? Now they are trying to somehow create some sort of noise so that India will be forced to join into some sort of a confrontation in Bangladesh, or doing it in Syria, dragging Turkey in. I don't know how much money Erdogan was paid, and we know all these corrupt dictators, they'll take a chunk of the money for their own pockets and only use a little bit for actual job on the ground. So we have to wait and see what the final word on Aleppo is. The unprecedented move shifts away the traditional transition protocols. This is what is big pain factor for them. So what happens then? The transition team will put the new people in place, but nobody knows who the new team is. And once the team is in place on Jan 20, many of them don't require confirmation process, a Senate confirmation process. Only few do. Like, for example, the border czar, he's already on the job. He's already talking to the New York City mayor. There's a lot of churn going on in the state of New York. I mean, I can do a separate monologue on what illegals are now being asked to do. They are being put on buses, and here, there, everywhere they are running. Even small remote areas in the state of New York where there were illegals being housed in shelters, they are also being asked to evacuate. God only knows where they are going. One time we told you that they are going to Canada. I'm not sure if they are still using the same means, or are they sending them back to Texas? We don't know. I'll as soon as I have that information, I'll share that with you. The strategy is designed to, this whole bypassing GSA is a strategy designed to bypass entrenched gatekeepers, leaving them sidelined and without influence. This approach is totally creating panic among the people, because, oh my God, I don't know. And many of them who may or may not have jobs on January 20th, now they are in a fix. Should I, polish my resume and start working in K Street? K Street is a street where all the lobbying groups work. I mean, if you want to be taken seriously as a lobbyist, you have to have a K, as in JKL, K Street address. If you don't have a K Street address, then you are not a lobbyist worth your salt. People won't even give you anything. They won't even look at you. They look at your card and say, oh, this guy's offices are not in K Street, and he's not a lobbyist. He doesn't have any influence. The deep state thrives on information, access to it, and it also allows it to spy, sabotage, and control. All that stuff gone. By the way, India just signed a deal for $1.17 billion to get MR-60 helicopters. Mission mode, it's called multiple mission mode helicopters, and this is something that was signed off even by the Department of State. See, Department of Defense signs it off initially, then the Department of State has to sign it off. And this is from Lockheed Martin, if I remember correctly. These are mostly going to be used by the Navy of India, because remember, there has been new news that 60 plus ships have been commissioned in Pakistan. I'm sure it is Chinese ships just painted and marked over with Pakistan letterings. We know that stuff. Because of this move, the transition team has completely gone dark. They have no clue what is going on. That's why they are unable to, ward off. For example, if Trump's envoy goes and meets with Putin, they have no clue who it is and when he is meeting. You see how that goes? If it was going through GSA, they will know the flight plan, they'll know who is accompanying, they'll make sure that the person who's actual person who will be advising, kano mein aakar, whispering something in the ear, all that stuff, they don't know who it is. So they don't know how these meetings are being planned and held. These guys are frustrated as hell right now, and that's why they perhaps are lashing out here, there, everywhere, where they can still have some influence. By the way, the Biden administration is sending another $750 million to Ukraine. Baap ka paisa hai kya? Well, they seem to act like that. These people, I mean, if Trump doesn't screw up royally, but at least delivers 30% or 40% of what he has promised, and JD Vance does a good job, meaning keeping quiet, there's a very good chance that the Republicans could be in power for 12 years straight. And that's the kind of reform needed in the United States to put it back on the right path. Otherwise, it's going to be going to hell in a handbasket. So this is where things stand. I think this was the last one. Oh, okay, sorry. So this is where the strategy is. Okay, 3 steps. No GSA oversight. The tools that were used against him in 2016, they are no longer in play. Just completely brushed aside. No taxpayer dependence. This revolution is fully independent. That means it is being funded by people like you and I. I mean, I keep getting a lot of these messages. One thing about being independent is I thought neither party will bother me. Initially, it was quiet, but lately I'm seeing emails from both Democrats and Republicans saying, consider donating to us, this, that. It's a fun game. Then the third most important thing, no interference. The deep state cannot touch what they cannot see. If they can't see what who is going to be there, what, then they have no way of doing anything. That's exactly what the Trump administration is doing right now. You will start seeing, for example, on Jan 20th itself, a lot of clarity emerge in many of these engagements that the United States has gotten itself into in the Middle East, in Russia. You get the idea, because this new front is just a mess, the way I see it. Next one, please. The biggest message that Trump team is telling the General Services Administration, GSA, is we don't need you. And this is also, there are many career bureaucrats whose fathers may have been in the government, whose grandfathers may have been in the government. In fact, this is one of those things, old money, they say, they chose to go into government because they have money and they just need a little bit padding here and there, but they'll have a lot of control. That has been the talk about US. They would say the New Englanders. The New Englanders are states like Massachusetts, New York State, and Maine, New England, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. That area, that is the one that sends you a lot of people who work in the government. Used to be. Now I think it's more diversified. See, they did DEI to themselves too. Many say that even Kamala Harris was a DEI candidate. Who knows? Anyway, so this shift of power back to the people, emphasizing independence from entrant systems, is something that is new. We'll have to wait and see how things play out once the administration is in place. But certainly, it's a refreshing change. I don't know if you remember, viewers, in 2014, when Modi administration took hold, I think the Prime Minister sits in the South Bloc, if I'm not wrong. The first thing that happened, both South Bloc and North Bloc, access was cut off to all the brokers, the middlemen, the PIMs and the touts, everybody. You had to have an access card to get inside. All the exits were closed off, and that used to drive the Congress touts up the wall. They couldn't influence anything. Of course, they had their own big moles inside the Modi administration, which Modi couldn't do much about. That's exactly the reason why even after 10 years, he's not able to do much. I mean, he knows it. I think if I know it sitting halfway across the world, I'm sure he knows it too. So this is where things stand right now. This transition team is in a very, very stealth mode, and the team controls every dollar decision and resource, ensuring autonomy and rejecting influence from the swamp. In other words, Trump truly intends to drain the swamp this time around. It's a direct challenge to Washington's corrupt establishment. And how far this is going to be effective, we'll have to wait and see. Now comes my favorite part, the media. The media used to have access. They would have this particular official on the, whatever. Media also had its own strategies to persuade information from people. They are also reeling because nobody knows what is going on in Washington, D.C. today. The transition team, it's as if it doesn't even exist, although it does exist, and it is acting, it is taking decisions. Except the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and that is making media go crazy. Just go and watch CNN today, folks. See what they are covering, and that will give you an idea. They're still talking about, they're still in meltdown about what happened in the elections. I mean, you put a dummy candidate, this is what's going to happen. This is going back to Abraham Lincoln's, famous phrase. You can fool some people all of the time. You can fool all people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. The media's reaction underscores their diminishing influence over the transition and public opinion. In fact, there is a move to purchase MSNBC by Elon Musk, and if I'm hearing it right, he's going to have some very popular YouTube bloggers be the face of the channel. It will be like MSNBC used to be the far left. Now it's going to go to the other side. I don't know where, what form and shape that's going to look like, but certainly we live in interesting times if Elon Musk can buy it. But in the meantime, the Elon Musk has been denied his compensation. I think it was Tesla board, if I remember correctly. One of the Twitter board, I don't remember. He's owed billions according to that agreement, and one judge in Delaware court has completely stopped that. And this judge Kathleen Collins, if I remember correctly, one piece of art. That's all I can say. It's just going crazy right now. They're all frustrated, lashing out here and there. By the way, I don't know how many of you know this. Many judges also have to get elected in the lower court system in US. In many states, not all states. In many states, judges themselves have to get elected. In other words, the judges have to say, you pay me money so that I will rule for you. What kind of justice that's going to be, God only can tell. You should read John Grisham's books. He will tell you exactly how these things play out. So Trump is taking decisive steps for safeguarding the transition and lead effectively. He is not playing defense. He is going on the offensive. And front foot batting, if you want to talk about cricket parlance, he is determined that he is going to give the swamp a run for its money. The deep state is in deep panic, and we'll have to wait and see again how effectively they come back. They're not going to just like that abandon and go away. These are all deep pockets, entrenched ones, and who knows how many people in the Trump's inner circle are also compromised. We don't know. We have to wait and see how this plays out. If there are any questions, I'd like to take them now. Naresh Lathia, thank you for becoming YouTube member. Mangat Rangaji, Namaskaram. With this, will the toolkits in Bharat reduce? I would expect so. Mangat Rangaji, what happens is, supposing $100 is being set aside by deep state in US, that gets, it's like a pie that gets split 10 ways, 20 ways, whatever. A small number will come to India, that small number will go away. But that small number in rupees is a big number. Let's wait and see. Next one. Satyanarayanan wants to know, Donald Lu is coming to India and Nepal. More troublemaking. This is one of those situations where he might be CYAing. I didn't mean to do this, but this, that. Who knows? Donald Lu, what kind of a job he'll have? If he's on the street looking for a job. I'll be following some of these crazy batshits. So we'll see how this goes. I told you, right? Macro Advisory Partner was the place from where Jake Sullivan had come, the CIA director had come, and Victoria Nuland. That was the big one, run by an Iranian American and a Pakistani American. So we'll see where usually they'll go back to their places, because sometimes they'll also have some stakes in this, go back to lobbying. In fact, you should listen to a YouTube conversation between Ukrainian president and Biden after he stepped down being the vice president. That is, once the Trump team was in progress, where he starts giving long thing. Yeah, I told you I will do this thing, but I'm still trying to establish access. This is the ex-vice president talking to Ukrainian president, saying that, yeah, I promised you, I took money from you for this promise, but I still don't have access yet. I'm waiting to hear from XYZ. All that stuff that used to be possible in the first term of Trump, this time. Next one. Joshua Chime wants to know, on one hand, Trump is maintaining utmost secrecy towards till January 6th. We have some days to go. Will deep state have some trick up its sleeve we should be careful about? Yeah, deep state has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. The question is, what are they going to do about it? And there's an update on Nepal coming soon. I'll give you that also in just a short while. Next one, please. Adhisesh Gopal Hebbalalu wants to know, screening, do you really think Trump will be able to implement all his agenda, given that many people in Republican Party itself are against dismantling the bureaucracy? I told you, right? Adhisesh, at least 2 senators have voted against Trump in some of the new bills that are going through the Senate right now. Susan Collins and I don't remember the two women senators in the Republican Party. Yeah, these people are old curmudgeons. They are used to things in a certain way. Senators have an ego that you can't actually fathom, get your hands around. Huge egos. huge egos. These are people that, I mean, you may have stuff. I don't deny that, but in India, we always say that the person who knows the most is also the most humble one in the room, because they know they don't know a lot more. Even though they know a lot, they know that there is a lot more to be known. That realization keeps you grounded. Not the senators in the United States, I'm afraid. Next one. Vidya Jayaraman wants to know, Sree Iyer, hello sir, please share your thoughts on Trump's BRICS tweet. To me, it seems impractical, creating a common problem for India, China, and Russia. Vidya ji, interesting things happened last time when Trump reneged or broke the Iran agreement that the Obama team had put in place. Essentially, the agreement said that Iran will not enrich its uranium. If you want to know what enriching uranium is, there is one YouTube hangout that I did with General Ravi Shankar. He talks about uranium. In the nature, you get uranium at, I think, 20% purity. From there, you need to start purifying uranium. And if you want weapon rich, like atomic bomb rich, you need uranium to have purity 90% or more. It takes a lot of time. You need centrifuges. It's big stuff that needs to happen in a certain way, and how you go about doing it. All that stuff was supposed to have been stopped by Iran in exchange for entering the mainstream markets. This was the deal with Obama administration. When Trump found out that they were not agreeing to the deal, they broke the deal. But in the meantime, India was buying oil from Iran, paying for it in rupees, because Iran needs Indian rupees, because they probably import a lot of stuff from India. You don't know what all goes from Bombay to which all countries in the Middle East. They can all say that Islam is in danger in India, but if 2 days eggs and poultry doesn't go, the place gets completely bent out of shape. The Middle East I'm talking about. So what he did was, he made sure that India got a really good deal from the United States, and since India had to pay for its crude for the oil that it would get from United States in lieu of Iran, Trump made sure that there was a lot of FII that came into India. That's how India's current account now has not a deficit, but it's a surplus, $690 billion. That's how it came about. It's not like India suddenly became very efficient. If anything, India is the same or even a little worse now. At the lower levels of functioning levels of government, I tell you, every time I try to do something in India, it just gets my blood boiling. It's still a work in progress. Let me put it that way. Kishore Rajurkar, why no role announced for Vivek Ramaswamy? No, he is going to be in DOGE. That is the hardest thing to do, Kishore. Department of Government Efficiency is going to be one of the hardest things to do. Much of the employment numbers that the Biden administration reported in the last 12 months to 18 months came from government jobs that the government kept adding. I mean, if you're going to have a huge illegal population, right? Somebody had to keep notes. Where are they going? How is the money coming to them? How is the money being dispersed? Where are they going to stay? What about clothing? What about this? What about that? What about the legal processes for these things? All that fat that will have to go now once they start rounding these people up. There's a huge shelter that's coming up in Texas that's going to house thousands of people. I think that's where the Trump government is going to be very decisive. They'll be very close to the border. So once you are ticked off of the database, you are checked out to Mexico. It's Mexico's problem after that. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. That's where deep state will create the maximum amount of mess, because that's outside of United States. Karthik Viswanathan wants to know, please watch Lucky Bhaskar movie in Prime on money laundering. Will do, Karthik. Next one. Venkataramanan TS wants to know, exactly, sir, who are active deep state persons? Clue, please. Venkataramanan, see, the deep state, I had hinted one time that, CIA was one of the first faces of the deep state, because before that, there was this organization called OSS, Office of the Strategic Services, that was formed during Second World War. And this is a separate monologue to take a look at that, what deep state really means. These are people who don't lose their jobs for bad decisions. Therefore, they end up being in positions of power. And they, depending on their biases and what people have on them, they can make events go in a certain direction. That's all. Next one. Joshua Chime wants to know, Sree, MSNBC, did you know MS stood for Microsoft? Yes, of course I did. Yes, yes. Dinesh Kumar Putra, thank you so much. How soon will T pardon J6 folk? Well, it's going to be some time, not right now. He will let all the news come out of that one, and who knows where the truth will come out. We'll have to wait and see. Next one, please. Manav-san wants to know, Deep State Swamp seem most concerned about Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. They already torpedoed Matt Gaetz. How will Republicans be reined in to compel more support for Trump's picks? Well, dossier. He'll have to have his own dossier. That's why probably he has taken Kash Patel, because Kash has worked in Obama administration more than he has worked in the Trump administration. Kash is he's an honest person. He knows what is right and what is wrong, and he's a good lawyer. He's got a lot of what I would call as administrative experience, that gravitas. He knows how things move. So it's going to be not that difficult to find out where the skeletons lie for each of these politicians. Tyagarajan Shankaran wants to know, do you expect Modi this time will be able to bring in all reforms he wants to? I don't think so. Tyagarajan ji, it's terrible, because 240, see what amendment still being kicked down the can, and the can is being kicked down the road. Why? What was the need for them to put it in the JPC? They could have passed the bill straight away. See, they are fooling Indian public also, and people that don't just react to all these things, they are weighed down by day-to-day problems, so they don't have time to look up and say, hey, listen, we need Waqf and we need it now. Waqf should go. Forget about amendments. He wants to know, Biden is looking like he'll be indicted if Trump gets to power for corruption. Now Hunter can say, I will not answer. Well, Trump has actually made a statement that he's not going to be vindictive, that he needs to work for the people of America. I mean, 27 trillion, $30 trillion deficits being run up is not a small number. It is more than 100% of US's GDP. This is not a small number. It's going to require some very hard thinking. They have done some things already in place. Lighthizer knows what he's doing about tariffs and things like that. I would not go into a panic saying that it will drive up prices. They're doing it in a very clever way. Wait and see. Just wait and see. Already, I was so happy to see yesterday that the petrol prices, that is gasoline they call in US, prices have come down below $4 a gallon. It used to be $4 plus in California for donkey's years. Finally, it has come down. It's only $3.89 now, but still it's better than more than $4. And I was like, wow, finally some effect at the pump. Going up, it will be immediate. Going down will take a long time. In India, it will never go down, but you know how it is. Of course, the BJP government has made some strides in that direction. 10 rupees off here, 5 rupees off. Actually, they are saving 100 rupees, 200 rupees, but they'll just give you 5 rupees, 10 rupees. That's how governments work. All right. Next one, please. Alpana Bajpai, thank you so much for your super sticker. Private Drive wants to know, sir, a little out of context. Starlink is not safe for India. Why is India considering launching Starlink? You are in Thar Desert, okay? And there is 10,000 people, half of them ISI informers, the other half radical Muslims wanting to enter India. There is no fiber electricity, there is no fiber. There is no information for you to get back to head command for how to stop this. And they are, positioned in tricky points along the border. How are you going to be able to connect? Starlink would allow you to connect from all remote areas. Or if there is tension along the LAC, you don't have internet connectivity everywhere, and you want to go somewhere where it's very difficult to have an actual physical infrastructure in place. How will you communicate? You need Starlink. The question is, how does it coexist with the existing people like Ambani and Airtel? Because these people also do some clever marketing gimmicks. Bring in a low price of entry and bring everybody else in, then start rising the prices slowly and keep all the other people out. So Starlink will basically disrupt this function. A healthy competition where Starlink coexists with this is what the right thing to do. I mean, I should, as a consumer, have the liberty to do whatever I want. I travel in India and I don't get internet connectivity while I am on the road. I'd like to have proper connectivity. So far, Jio, Airtel, BSNL and Starlink will compete. That's good. Have a transparent process of selection and make sure that the best technology wins. Next one, please. That's all we have. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. I was going to give you an update on Nepal. I don't have it yet fully, so please come back at 9 o'clock with Sumit Pirji and we'll give you an update on that also. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.